Hey, WokeNFree Nation, Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice.
For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening.
You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, or even one of your favorite celebrities. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud.
And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, WokeNFree, is there too.
Now let's get into the episode. Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 241st episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week we're doing a WokeNFree review of In Godfrey We Trust. But before we dive deep into that subject, a couple of things to go over. First, please go to WokeNFree.com to download the episode of what you are about to hear, because it is not only going to entertain you, but by downloading the episode through the Podbean app is how you're able to join the conversation. And we want to hear from you. Do you like to watch and listen to In Godfrey We Trust? If not, if so, either way, we want to know where you stand on the topic. Now, for whatever device you listen to podcasts on, if you can't add another app onto that device, a couple of tears are shed, but fret no more. What you can do is go to WokeNFree.com, go on the listen tab, and then pick your platform of choice where you can follow and subscribe to our show at. So we're also on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, definitely our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. It's a WokeNFree world. So wherever podcasts are, we're pretty much there. So make sure you support. And then, of course, on WokeNFree.com, you can also click subscribe to follow the show through the Podbean app. And then on social, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And then if you have 90 seconds, which you do, you don't even have to think about it, please review the show. We want to know how the show is feeding into you. So go to WokeNFree.com, go on the listen tab, and then pick your platform of choice where you'd like to give us 5-star reviews. Yes, I said it. You know you want to do it. Now the ball's in your court, Khalil.
And the listeners, they know what we do now. We start the conversation by sharing a little bit about ourselves. This week, we're asking, would you rather have a robot servant or a real-life personal assistant?
I don't know if robot servant is like a PC term.
Really? Doesn't that seem good? Rather than the other form?
When you say that, it makes me think about like iRobot, and then I think about the one who had the feelings, and then he was different, and I don't think he would be appreciative.
But he wasn't a servant.
Yeah, so I don't feel like he would like that term. So
I thought he would. If he was called that, wouldn't he have preferred it?
What did they call him again?
iRobot?
Movie? No, I don't think. Shameful. Khalil no one walked around and said, iRobot. You don't even make sense today. Okay, so I'm going to answer the question because we're getting off topic here. So I would go with robot assistants. I'm not so much
you prefer that?
A fan of the term servant. It sounds
so like for the speaker assistants, you wouldn't want to call them speaker servants.
No, I think that it fundamentally seems problematic to use that term.
Even though they're not living, breathing organisms of any sort.
Yeah, it still seems problematic to me.
They're just numbers put together.
I know. I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable. So I would go with robot assistants because a personal assistant can be great, but they're still going to falter because they're a human being versus a robot, I think would have hopefully a higher success rate than a human.
All right. And I go with robots. Very similar for the reason that you do is because they perform the best and they're very consistent. Humans, they have to take breaks, they have to sleep, they have opinions, they have feelings. Robots don't do that. They just get the job done. There's no questioning you. It's just getting it done in the most efficient manner. So that's the thing with them.
Okay.
A lot better than personal assistants. Like, if you, do you really trust these personal assistants, or do you trust Godfrey? That's what I would ask.
Nice transition. Super slops. Yep.
Who should we really trust? I think the show says it all. What is actually the show in Godfrey We Trust all about?
Phenomenal. Thanks for throwing the ball into my court now.
Yes.
Okay. So, if you're not familiar with In Godfrey We Trust, it is a part of the Gas Digital Network shows. So definitely check out gasdigitalnetwork.com to learn more about In Godfrey We Trust. And as stated on the website, comedians Godfrey and Andre Kim talk pop culture, Black history, music, movies, TV, comedy, life, and kung fu. With Godfrey at the wheel, it's impossible to predict where the conversation will go. Endless impressions, 2 white producers, and all of human history are at Godfrey's command. Real talk every week with Godfrey on In Godfrey We Trust. So that is stated from the website.
Oh, that's not you.
I just wanted to get that crystal clear for folks.
All right.
And the show airs, as according to the website, Tuesdays and Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard and 6 p.m. PT time. So, or Pacific time, right? So I would say how I would define the show is it definitely is a show that has guardrails that lose guardrails very quickly into the conversations.
Guardrails?
They're very cash, super cash. You might not even always agree. You're most likely not going to agree with what Godfrey or his guests are saying, but you want to tune in. You're kind of like, it's kind of like a train wreck, and you're like, where is this going? Like, how is this going to end up? In the best of ways and in the worst of ways. We're fans of Godfrey. He's a hilarious comedian. I love all the rhetoric he's shared around supporting Black women. As a Black woman, I think I love to hear Black men be more prolific about that, as opposed to some of the rhetoric that is usually the antithesis of that I hear. But I would like a little bit more structure overall to the show programming. So that's my thoughts on it.
My thoughts as a summary of it is he usually collaborates with comedian friends of his, and then even some actors we've seen on there.
Yep.
And the other co-hosts, they all discuss like various topics on the show. So the show might have an overarching topic, but they usually get off on different tangents, and they'll stay on that for a while. Yeah. And I love that when Godfrey is pitched like a comedic ball, he'll just hit it out of the park. And he'll riff on somebody for the whole time because they gave him something so foolish.
He does
he does that, and he won't even let it go. He goes crazy on it, like he can't even help himself. Like
and
you see it in his face.
Are amazing.
That it's just crazy. Amazing. So this is a video podcast.
So that you can listen to it in audio form. But
but you can see his
watch
face.
It on YouTube.
His expressions are very interesting, to say the least. But like you said, the structure is interesting because sometimes the structure is just not really there.
Yeah.
And another point I like to make is that he tries to keep it real on there. He seems
very
he's
authentic.
he's pretty much stating how he feels on the show. At least that's how he is.
It definitely appears to be that case. So, what would you say overall thoughts on the show for our listeners? You know, thinking about whether this is something they're going to tune into or not. How would you kind of detail in greater detail there?
I think it's a fun, thoughtful show because you get to see some of the behind the scenes of comedians that we don't really think about. We don't get to think about their trials and tribulations, really. Like, they'll talk about it in earnest. It's not just like a whole bunch of jokes but actually how comedians think when they're going out there and how you're supposed to act towards other comedians. So that's pretty fun. And it's still outrageous though along the way.
Definitely.
It's not like it's just a serious conversation, but some of the things discussed is like, oh, I didn't know that's how it is, or I didn't know like comedians felt that way. So you get to get some of their feelings on it. And then the thing I would have to just mention is that some of these shows are pretty long, to be honest.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Just be prepared to sit back and relax.
Conversation.
Like, grab your coffee or something, or some popcorn.
Your first and second cup.
Yeah, I don't know. You gotta be ready for it, because it is long, but
it'll take you for a full hour or more.
Yeah, so you might listen to it in parts. It depends. It's up to you. But just be ready for that.
Absolutely. I would also add, it's definitely not a show for everyone. He does drop the N-word. He does say curse words. So if
it's not crazy. I don't think it's like over. Like,
it's not
just like, and it's not like that. Because there's some people that where it's just like, all right, you can stop it.
Enough is enough. But if any of those, if crass language offends you in any way, which if you're listening to WokeNFree, I can't imagine it does. So not that we're cussing,
we're not
but
crass.
we are fans of, people being WokeNFree, right? And a part of that is sometimes a crass word comes into play for life. And so if that offends you, this is going to offend you. But I would still encourage you to listen and try to push those comfort zones, because to your point, I think it's really unique content to hear comedians not only speak on how they feel about things, but more about the business of comedy itself. And I don't know if I've heard a lot of that content elsewhere. So I find it super original, super interesting. And again, if you are into supporting Black content creators, this is a perfect opportunity to support someone who's not waiting around for, his Netflix special, but he's creating his own content every single week. And it's really nice to see how much effort goes into this. And it's really funny too when people send him like products because they want him to promote it, and he just is so cash about it, and he'll like not deal with it for months, and he's like, oh yeah, I have all this essay, and he's like, look at this shirt, what's this effing thing, right? Like he just is really wild that way. So overall though, what would you say are your thoughts on the T.I. Godfrey scandal?
Man, this was a really interesting episode thing we had going on. It actually spanned over 2 episodes. So just to explain it, there was an episode where Godfrey, he was actually clowning on T.I. with his buddies that he brought onto the show, his co-hosts, and they were talking about how, T.I. doesn't have the experiences in comedy to really be out there doing it. And they were kind of, I don't know when to say Godfrey was upset. I think they were more upset that T.I. went on stage after Godfrey was a headliner. So Godfrey he wasn't upset about that though, just to make it clear, just because some people may have thought that. But what Godfrey did do also though is he showed some few short clips of T.I. doing some of the comedy. And he was just like, this guy's just starting out in his comedic career. He kept making that point, and it was like, okay, Godfrey, we get it. We see what you're saying. And it was like, uh-oh, Godfrey. What's happening here? And then actually T.I. had actually responded to this because he saw the whole episode. So, I mean, what I think about this thing is I think both of them had a point. So in terms of Godfrey, he invited T.I. on the show to actually like air this out and try to squash this beef before it got really big. And I like how he started off by saying how, we're good buddies, we're friends, and it's great to have T.I. on the show. This is in the beginning, T.I. is just coming on. And he tried to play it off, and he's like, T.I., man, I don't know what you heard, but T.I. told him, he said, I didn't hear nothing. I watched it directly. I watched your podcast. I saw exactly what happened. It was wild. No one spoke this. And he called him out on it, too. He was saying, hey, man, you spoke about me on your podcast this way, but when we met in person, there was none of that. It was all love and nothing but that. So then Godfrey, he just explained to him that, he doesn't watch anybody who comes on after he headlines. And he says it's rare anyways for somebody to come on after a headliner. That doesn't really happen. That's not what usually happens. He just did it because he said, hey, this is T.I. He's the king of the South, right?
No to T.I.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, I let him on. And he's like, that's fine. So that part I get. That was fine. But the thing that he wasn't trying to really address was how he did clown T.I.'s game, though. He did. And I think it was funny too that when T.I. was on, he went a lot softer than he did on the previous episode.
Appeasing to T.I.
But he was with his friends; they were all having a riot because his friends were saying more crap about T.I. that were kind of like messed up. They were the ones who were trying to get out of the experience.
Godfrey wasn't necessarily.
It wasn't Godfrey doing all the dogging out. He could have turned the tide. He did one hit, and then his friends did a lot of hits on T.I. They were going off on him, like they were trying to say, he doesn't have experience and all that stuff. Like he shouldn't be doing this. Why don't you stick to rapping? That was the co-host, so that wasn't Godfrey. So I'll put that forward. And then I think T.I., he was really great at pointing out the problems he had with Godfrey. Like he was addressing it point by point. He was like, it's kind of like he had a notebook, like, because he knew exactly what he wanted to talk about.
Point A, point B.
Yeah.
He went in.
Yeah. And then it was interesting because what he said he was really looking for, he wanted kind of like a cosign from Godfrey and say like, I'm going to say this guy is good. You should go see him. That's what T.I. wanted. He wanted Godfrey to say this is a good comedian. He did ask for that.
What T.I., yes, but I think also the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues that T.I. had was that like, he felt like people shouldn't be addressing like his noviceness of comedy, and
that's
then also
another point that he made.
Like he felt like it doesn't matter how he's arrived here, right? So whether he's used his fame and fortune elsewhere to leverage it in the space of comedy, who cares? Like, you are where you are because of how you are, and it is. Move on.
Because there were people that were on this second show with T.I. who were saying, well, a lot of people, they didn't even get to go on that stand up that you got to do. Yeah, they let you perform where guys never get to perform. Correct. And he was like, well, I can't, if I have a size 12 shoe, I can't walk around in a size 8.
10 or something.
He said something like that. It's like, technically he has the bigger shoe and he's making use of it. So understandably, But I think the guys were just trying to get him to admit that you do have a privilege. And I don't know if T.I. exactly. I don't think he ever took it to I
think what he was trying to say is like, mind your business and this is what I'm doing. And I think T.I.
very defensive about that.
Yeah, I think he could have been a little bit more understanding of where
he could be like, I see you guys,
were coming from, because to their point, it takes typically years for you to be able to move up the ranks in comedy, and T.I. is skipping many levels because he's T.I., which is phenomenal. But at least own that and at least admit that.
Yeah, he should say, I get to skip it. But what he could have twisted. He's like, I skipped some of the comedic hurdles, but guess what? I did that stuff in the rap game, right?
Exactly.
So I did my hurdles.
Just
no, he wasn't an overnight success. He didn't just come up.
It took time.
It took a while before he could prove people that, he's really awesome. He's good.
Rap,
And the one thing though, to me, my takeaway from this whole scandal just at the end of it is, I thought it was a real missed opportunity for T.I. because on the show, he didn't show us one time how he's a funny person, to be honest.
You're hilarious.
Like
I'm so tired.
No, there was not even one single joke.
My biggest thing was you did crack one joke.
Yeah, not one single. I would just wonder.
Who is he, Steve Harvey?
I don't know what. I mean, every comedian when they talk about at least one joke, even if they're serious, like they might be serious the whole time.
So are you now making a dick?
No, there's no dick, but it's just like I'm not sure, man. Funny I'm not sold, to be honest. Like, you're the king of the South, but are you the king of comedy? I mean...
Well, definitely not. I think he's in the beginning journey of his comedic fame and fortune, and we wish you the best, T.I. Don't be coming for nobody over here.
Well, no, I'm not being two-faced. I'm just saying, like, it'd be interesting if when he goes on shows, could he make some jokes?
You're amazing.
That's just an ask. I'm asking that. I would love to hear the jokes.
So, T.I., if you ever do listen to this episode, please do come on.
Yeah,
and
comes
please
on.
Start the episode.
Because I don't want him to come on and try to just dog us out. Like, say something funny, too. That's cool.
Maybe maybe the dogging is the funny part.
But it has to be funny, though, too. I mean, if it's funny, I can't argue with that. Then that's great. But, like I said, when he was on the show...
That's an interesting comment.
Yeah, that's my comment. When he was on the second show, I didn't see... any funniness.
I agree. I did not necessarily see the humor.
And it wasn't even like he tried to make a joke. It wasn't like he tried to make a joke and it didn't land. He
sounded
never did
pissed,
that.
though, Khalil. He didn't sound like he was in the mood for a funny. Like,
so that's what comedians do. They just go around being pissed. That's what the new comics are.
I think that T.I. was pissed. I can't speak for new comics.
Even though Godfrey said in the beginning, we're buddies, we're good friends.
Yeah, but Godfrey said it in such a condescending manner. It was I don't know who he thought he was fooling. Like, because he was like, we're Betty.
Yeah, it was all happy in the beginning. And then we just ended on just like, all right, man, you got it. You're cool.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole situation is awkward, right? When you talk about someone and then they find out and then they are like mad at you, it's really hard to just be in a good space. People are they both were in their feelings a little bit.
And I think he was a little bit removed from this. Godfrey was removed from the situation because it wasn't like T.I. came on his second episode after he discussed this. This was a couple episodes later, so he probably like Godfrey was over that already. He wasn't even thinking about it. But then he's like, all right, let's square it off because people are talking about it in public.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only other thing I would add to it is that I wish that they could have been a little bit more honest in their exchange, and T.I.
In terms of what?
In that, like, in Godfrey, how you're saying how Godfrey kind of was like, oh, we're homies, we're close peoples. And it's like, sir, this man is not your friend, nor is he even going to entertain you.
But he wanted to entertain him, and he said, how could I, though, because of how you acted. You acted like I'm not really anything.
Yeah. No, that's what T.I. was saying. He was saying he respected Godfrey.
Yeah, he does.
respect him
does.
and would have wanted to be friends with him, but it was like based on how you behave, sir. Like,
yeah,
obviously,
it seemed like it wasn't gonna be the beef is squashed. Like, there's not gonna be fighting. It is
definitely squashed, but they are not homies. I mean, that was not my.
I mean, we'll see. Like, if Godfrey ever comes out and say, "Hey, T.I. is the king of the,"
so if he goes to Atlanta and he's welcome to dinner, I mean, that's fantastic, right? Like, and if not, then maybe not.
Yeah, like, well, I don't know. I can't speak. I don't know how close. Yeah, it's hard to say.
You're listening to
WokeNFree.
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 WokeNFree. A podcast that keeps it real and honest.
Would you recommend folks tune into In Godfrey We Trust?
The key question of the episode. So I would say 1,000% yes, because like I stated earlier, as Black content creators, it is a privilege and an honor to be able to discuss and to champion other Black content creators. And Godfrey has been doing comedy for so many years. And it's really nice to see his new, I guess, I don't want to say new fame, but probably I would just say new support and new public sensation in this space of podcasting. And I want more people to support him. I want him to have his own Netflix specials. Like, I adore Godfrey. I think he's hilarious. And do I always agree with how he says and delivers his comedy? Absolutely not. But I champion him as a content creator. I champion him as a comedian. I champion his support for Black women. And I just want to encourage him to continue to do what he's doing. Have a little bit more structure, just because I am a Virgo and I am, a hard ass that way. And so I like a little bit of understanding if this is a variety show. Okay, here's the news, guys. Here's this, like a little bit of guidance for the audience. So we're not just tuning in and like, what the F is this now? Like, cause there's no, and even putting things on the YouTube, like if you're going to have this kind of free flowing conversation, then what's coming up next? Like having a little bit of structure, I think wouldn't hurt the show. I think it would actually enhance it a little bit more. So that's my only, kind of comment for him. But Godfrey, we love you. You rock. I hope as many people tune in to you, and hopefully more from WokeNFree Nation.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people are sleeping on Godfrey. I don't think they really give him the accolades he deserves. He's a good comedian. Amazing. Like, he's good.
Hilarious.
He's funny and clever. Like, he make you
and
think. And
he has the best facial,
thinking.
like, face things that he does. He's so ridiculous.
I mean, I have to bring it up. Like, I think he does better facial expressions than Chris Rock, to be honest.
Oh yeah, Chris Rock's not funny. I mean,
see, you taking that. Now I think Chris Rock
that's my personal
because Chris Rock he has great delivery, but I think Godfrey's is better. Yeah, that's why people like Chris Rock, because for his delivery of jokes,
people
he's like really into
different strokes for different folks, and that is not. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan. I champion him because he's a Black comedian and he's doing his thing, but he's definitely not my
classic.
comedy.
Like he's a legend of comedy. Oh, that's Chris Rock.
Kevin Hart, he's my thing. Yes, Godfrey. Yep, but no.
And then what's great is this show is free. This guy, so you get like to hear Godfrey's comedy for free, and then he does try to tell you, hey, there's some other stuff we talked about. And it's exclusive, so you gotta like subscribe. You gotta sign up,
join the Gas Digital Network.
Yeah, because you can sign up,
merch, all that,
and hear more of it, like or hear past episodes. Because after a while, he does pull off some episodes of YouTube. I see that you can't get it anymore. You gotta pay that little membership thing. So. But I like how he's doing that though. I respect the game. He's doing really cool. Like Godfrey.
I hope he continues to shine.
Like I want to see him more popular. Like I want to see him with a couple Netflix specials.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I want to see him in movies. I don't know yet. I haven't seen him in a lot of movies, so I can't say. But I think he has been in movies though.
3-part.
He has done some movies. I checked.
Netflix stand-ups. Godfrey would kill it. I mean,
but his stand-ups are going to be crazy.
Funny. Like, oh my gosh, Godfrey, you're awesome. Yeah. So amazing.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, folks. Scenario 1. Waqar was a very successful movie star who decided to venture into comedy. One night, he went to watch some comics perform at an open mic night. He decided to sit in the front, and one comic said, Waqar's acting is like a train wreck. It's horrible, but you can't stop watching. Waqar was so mad, he called his lawyer to start a defamation suit against the comic, who made the comments. Is Waqar right in his actions?
No. So people are entitled to their opinions of you, but it is not a factual delineation of someone's comedic abilities. You cannot have defamation on whether someone thinks you suck or not. Like,
even if it's about acting, though, we're talking about.
But that's a subjective perspective. I mean, we talk about this all the time. You know, my answer, Khalil, you say this person's name trash is usually
can't do that.
Usually my critic response trash, complete trash.
These actors.
But at the end of the day, unless someone is coming out and saying, hey, you have, you know, some STD.
Just to claim something about factual
you don't
base.
pay bills for the last 20 years. Like, those are
so if it's objective, then.
Well, if you're claiming an action or some type of
claiming a factual thing about someone,
you're trying to make a fact about someone and it's an actual falsehood, then now we start to come into that type of arena, right? But otherwise, if you're just like, hey, this person has horrible hair, like, no. Now, is it a nice thing to do in the world? Absolutely not. But no, you're not going to win that one.
So he is not right in his actions.
No, should not do that.
Yeah, I think this person just blew it out of control to say, hey, you talked about my acting. That's it. I'm upset. And remember, this movie star wants to get into comedy. So if you can't take a joke, I don't know how you're going to be on stage. Like, that's something you got to learn real quick. I wonder what the
inspiration for this is. Hey,
there's no inspiration here. Nothing is inspired in this. This is clearly original work.
Fictional work, eh?
Yeah, it's original. It is not based off any character.
Bing, bang, ba-bing.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Scenario 2. Khadijah wants her career in comedy to be long-lasting. Does it make sense for her to get a cosign from a big comedian?
Oh, interesting. So I think Godfrey even said this in one of his episodes, which is you're as good as a comedian as your last act or your last show. So even if you like say I wanted to do my one woman show or we take our show on the road and we're like, you know, we're doing our battle and we're going on stages.
We're doing our verses.
Yeah, exactly. And and we get Kevin Hart to be like, this couple is legit in the game. Like, that's not going to last for a lifetime. Like, that's going to last for that minute the article came out, and the minute after, no one cares.
But you can always start the show off. Hey, Kevin Hart said we're the greatest.
Yeah, and that makes you look really sad in life. And
really?
Yeah.
That's not cool, though. That doesn't give you some, like, lasting...
Well, you know what it is? It's kind of like the child who, like, got their A in art, right?
Oh, yeah, well, years ago,
like,
right?
Okay, a subjective class. Okay, cool.
So 40 years later, they show it.
Mommy, Daddy...
They show the picture of the apple they made in second grade. Yeah, the apple that looks like pieces of feces on the floor. But it looks better than every other kid in the class.
And so you have to wonder what the context is, and then you have to wonder, why are we talking about this 4 years later, right?
Because you must be Leonardo da Vinci if you got the A.
Sure.
That's cool. So,
and your response?
My response is, I think that's really funny if you always start off the people that you got the cosign from somebody.
As seen on BuzzFeed, right? Like, you can put that on your press page.
It would be so
but you
funny.
cannot actually go into conversations.
But doesn't that prepare people for the funniness? Because then they know, these got to be funny. Because
I mean, unless your joke is about being whack, I don't understand. Like, this is a real life example of how sad I think
that's messed up that humans do that, though. Because somebody said that you're so great. You can't even tell
but if
people.
it happened 5 years ago, we have to move on, Khalil. There's a statute of limitations on how we can use that. Right?
Oh, all right. I mean, I guess it's pretty true. I don't think it will make you long lasting. Like, it can last for maybe a year. It's not going to last
even a year. I mean, if you think about comedy, I mean,
really?
Things are so fast moving. I mean, entertainment is so incredibly fast. I mean, look at where we are with Will Smith. Like, Will Smith, the most beloved person in Hollywood, is now, you know, in the pits, right?
Yeah.
In American society's view. Not to say that we agree with that, but that's just where we're at. I mean, we don't support violence in any way or fashion or form, but
I won't say all that. You don't support violence in any way, fashion, or form.
We're not even going to address your nonsense.
There's more specifics.
What we're going to say is, it seems like people are trying to, like, you know, cut them off at the knees right now, and it just seems a little bit sad. But, you know, that's what I'm saying. So
it's a little
to
excessive.
me, like, if a big time comedian shouts you out, I don't know if that lasts more than like a day, maybe a week.
That's crazy saying all that. I think you can get it to go for a year. You just gotta make sure to like, pop that in people's ears.
Like I said, if you start your jokes off like that, you were really setting a terrible tone for that act. Like
you don't like that. Wow, that's funny.
Do you want to go have you ever heard Kevin Hart say that? Like, I know you guys
Eddie
are
Murphy
really
said I was
enjoy
Eddie
this
Murphy set up such a great comedian.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy gave me the nod. People, I mean, they're gonna wait for the punchline in that one. Like, they're gonna say, "Guys, like, is this the joke?"
All right. Oh, but you know how you can do it. Here's how you do it and they do it on.
Let's see.
No, but on those comedy specials, yes. I don't know if you remember, they have all these different comics come up.
Yeah.
Sometimes the host will say, "Hey, I said this is a great person that you're about to see next."
Yeah.
But I know, but the one thing is usually they're not that great though, too.
Correct.
When they say it, they're like, I love this person. They were the funniest person in Chicago. And then you hear them and you're like, well, I don't know why you even said that. Because
they're trying to champion that person. So
it has like actually the opposite effect when the host does the co-signing like right before they come up, because then they come up.
So for instance,
it's kind of like it gives you expectations.
Godfrey was a part of one of Tiffany Haddish's specials.
Oh, so she co-signed on him though.
And unfortunately, we didn't love all the acts that she had on that show, but we did love Godfrey. And we feel like, so it doesn't always work where they say they are awesome,
are great and
suck
all
or something.
this.
Yeah, it doesn't always go that way. But
I
just say, you know what it is? It comes down to the living truth of like, you don't have to tell people you're great. You should just be great. Like, just be the living testimony for what your body of work is. And will everything you say land? No. Will everything you say be right? Absolutely not. There's things that I say right, don't say right. It's just to be human is we have to give each other grace and give ourselves grace. But one thing I would say is we cannot, peddle like our achievements, to, beyond the designated time for which they're provided. So that week that you're shouted out,
that week, not that month, not that season.
That week, and live that,
not that
make
quarter.
That be that best week of your life, and keep it moving.
You won't even give them the quarter or nothing.
Well, I know now that if you got a big accolade, I guess we'll be seeing that painted on the house, huh?
Well, if it could be taken off after a year, because the year is the max that it lasts.
Amazing.
After a year, it's a little stale, like bread.
Like bread.
You can eat bread after a year, but that's it.
Gross.
As long as you freeze dry it. Hey, astronauts do it. Scenario 3. Tashira claims she is a great debater, but whenever she gets into a heated debate, she attacks the other person's character. Is she truly a good debater?
Interesting. So I would say that a good debate is typically one that hones in on the content for which the debate is formulated around, not the personality or the people involved in the debate. Why? Because I think that when you attack this person, you are hitting below the belt, essentially. And also it doesn't add more to verify why your argument is better or superior to the other argument in the debate. I think it just shows you as being kind of this petty person who, instead of sticking to the issues like some people we know or some monsters that we know, it's easier to be like, who wears a suit, right? And talk a lot of smack instead of sticking to the issue. So no, I would say that this person is not a good debater because you're attacking other things other than the content, which is the debate, what the debate is about.
Yeah, I think this goes back to what you last say. People can say what they are, but let's actually see the action. Don't, instead of saying that you're a great debater, actually just be the great debater.
Sure.
You can't be attacking people and thinking that, hey, I still know how to debate, because that's not how you debate. Like, if you're such great at it, you already would know that. You wouldn't be using those type of tactics. So, definitely not a good debater, and don't tell people that you're a great debater. Just do it.
And also, I would say that it is very natural because sometimes you do get upset and you're like, this foolish person, right? And you go down that route.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a human, I think it's
but
a very
don't tell people you're
thing.
a great debator that when you do that every time, right?
Correct. We
if
have
you're
to
always
not
going down the rabbit hole.
Being delusional is not helpful. And we need
radically self-aware.
Yeah, listen.
That's what you're looking for.
We have content coming through, so wait, guys. But just do you, right? Be the living testimony for what you want to do and be in this world, and with that, you can be woke and free.
Truly.
So we are at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 241st episode of Woke and Free. Quite the episode doing a WokeNFree review of In Godfrey We Trust. Khalil, what do folks need to do now?
They know to come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, definitely hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. So that's WokenFree.com. You can hit us up on social, which is going to be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn at WokenFree. And for all sponsorships or collaborations, again, our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.
You've got problems, sir.